In this video, I want to talk about 3 of the biggest success stories that Oprah influenced, and we're going to get started right now. All the way back in 1931, a family named the Garretts opened a small mom and pop business in Milwaukee. And it wasn't much, just a small brick and mortar store where people could come and grab a few scoops of one of America's greatest snacks, popcorn. And it was a rather small business operating during the Great Depression. And like many small businesses, especially during that time, success was slow, with sales coming 1 bag of popcorn at a time. If you walked into the shop, you would likely be greeted by Gladys. She was the owner's daughter, and at only 6 or 7 years old, it really wasn't that unusual for her to be behind the cash register ringing up customers. Now, fast forward to 1949, and Gladys was now a young adult living in Chicago with dreams of owning a business with the recipe for caramel popcorn. She started popping her corn according to this recipe and selling it on the street. And eventually she launched her first popcorn shop, which was right on the corner of Madison and State Street. And boom, things took off. People couldn't resist the irresistible smell of their unique cheese popcorn or their caramel popcorn flavors. And long lines would form outside the door. Most customers would place 2 orders, one for the cheese corn and one for their caramel crisp. And then they'd ask for an empty bag too. Employees were dumbfounded, but they eventually figured out that customers were mixing the cheese and the caramel varieties together. And thus, a new flavor was born, which was called the Garrett Mix. In Chicago, Garrett's became a staple. The store location would have long lines as Chicagoans flocked to feed their sweet and their salty addictions. But me, I'm from the Detroit area. I never even heard of Garrett's until 2009. Because that year, something crazy happened to Garrett's. Because it was that year that Oprah Winfrey shared Garrett's Chicago Mix as one of her favorite things on her show. Her endorsement reached the nation and beyond, and Garrett's immediately grew into a national phenomenon. The lines got even longer, with people traveling to Chicago just to find out what made it great enough for Oprah to mention it. And the online orders? Man, the online orders were insane. When they asked Garrett's executive vice president about the experience, he said, "We had a hunch that we would see an uptick in sales, but not to the extent that we did. The afternoon broadcast, we had over 100,000 web hits, and our sales volume for the month of December increased by over 100%. We went from making popcorn 8 hours a day to 24 hours a day." Today, Garrett's Popcorn continues to be a popcorn powerhouse, carrying the Garrett's legacy forward. And now they have stores in major cities across America and beyond. They have products in grocery stores, and they have a massive online presence. Unfortunately, there's no public information on how much Garrett's is worth today, but experts place it at a valuation between 100 and 500 million, and they employ anywhere up to 500 people. The takeaway here is that even if your business is corny, a mention by Oprah will make it pop off. Get it? Corny? Pop off?
Bruh.
Alright, I know. My dad jokes are kind of lame, maybe even a little cheesy. You know, like Garrett's Popcorn. Back in the early 90s, Sarah Blakely was going door to door selling fax machines. And for those of you who are too young to know what a fax machine is, just imagine going to your printer, typing in a phone number, scanning a piece of paper, and then whatever was on that paper prints off on someone else's printer. Except it's not a printer, it's a fax machine. It's kind of like text messaging, but it has like 200 more steps involved in the process. Anyways, Sarah Blakely was down in Florida, and she was going to every door in her neighborhood, telling people why they needed to buy a fax machine. And after many tough and probably stressful years, getting thousands of rejections and maybe the occasional sale, she decided that she wanted to create her own product. According to Sarah, "I knew I wanted my life to be different than it currently was. So I took inventory of my strengths and weaknesses. I recognized that one of my strengths was selling. I really enjoyed it and knew that I was good at it. So I said, okay, I want to invent or create a product that I can sell that's my own and not somebody else's. And I want it to be something I can sell to millions of people. And I want it to be something that makes people feel good." Her product was super simple, but it served a purpose. Basically, one day she cut the feet off of her pantyhose because she didn't like how the seam looked in her open-toed shoes. And that was the beginning of the product and the company that we now know as Spanx. Now, when she launched back in 1998, her friends thought that it was a crazy idea. And like most entrepreneurs, most of the people that were around her, they doubted that it would even work. But 2 years later, in the year 2000, Neiman Marcus placed the company's first large order. And then also in 2000, it happened. And by it, I mean when she got the manufacturing shipment back to fulfill the Neiman Marcus order, she sent a few of those pairs to Oprah. And Oprah's stylist suggested that she try them on. Now hold on, Sarah didn't just get a mention. Nah. Oprah called it her product of the year for her favorite things episode. And on the show, Oprah said over and over that she gave up wearing underwear and now she only uses Spanx. So if your freaky ass was wondering what Oprah has on under her skirt suit, well, now you know.
Stop it. Get some help.
In business, there's this thing about selling something before you've even produced it. I mean, it's kind of the whole premise of crowdfunding sites. You know, those sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, for instance. Well, even before going on the show, producers called her and asked, "You have a website, right?" And she was like, yeah, of course. And then the producers were like, "And you can ship and fulfill lots and lots of orders, right?" And she was like, yeah, of course I can. But really, she didn't have a website and she didn't have the logistics in place to send out a bunch of products. She just knew that she was a hustler. And if those were the things that she needed, then she was gonna figure that shit out one way or another. She had 2.5 weeks to build a website and to make sure that she had enough product to go on the show. She got the mention on the Oprah episode and then her sales blew up. Sarah has been on the Oprah show many times over the years, and now she's a billionaire whose story is often used as inspiration for other startup founders. Spanx is now worth $1.2 billion. And Oprah loves the company so much that in 2021, she announced that she was joining Spanx as an investor, along with Reese Witherspoon and Whitney Wolfe Herd, who founded Bumble. Now that is how you spank some ass as an entrepreneur. Some of Oprah's favorite things get immediate traction and they take off. Others, they lead to opportunities that lead to success later on. And that brings us to our final story, a story about a company called Carol's Daughter. Now, if you follow this channel, then this company might sound a little bit familiar, as we mentioned it as one that Will Smith and Jay-Z invested in years and years ago. But the company also experienced success by being mentioned as one of Oprah's favorite things. Carol's Daughter is a beauty brand from New York City that offers a range of hair, body, and skincare products. According to Lisa Price, who is the founder of Carol's Daughter, I was able to get onto the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2002, which was amazing. It's everything that everybody ever said it would be and more. It was not instant success. It was not instant cash. A lot of people think that because you go on Oprah or because you shake her hand, that as you're shaking her hand, there's a wire transfer taking place. And that does not happen at all. Now, Lisa figured that she would need to have a ton of product on standby in order to keep up with the demand that was going to come from the show. But unfortunately, she just didn't have time. The show called her on a Tuesday, and then by Saturday, they were already filming her in Brooklyn for the episode's B-roll footage. And then on Saturday night, they told her that she'd be taping in Chicago that Tuesday. She taped the show on Wednesday morning and then flew back home that afternoon. And the episode aired the next Wednesday. So even if she wanted to stock up on inventory, she really just didn't have enough time to do it. And she didn't even know what product she should be stocking up on. But she figured, like, whatever, being mentioned is gonna be a blessing anyway. According to Lisa, the only thing that we did focus on was foot care products, because during the show, she mentioned, "Oh, your foot cream is fabulous." I actually didn't have a foot cream. I had a foot butter and a foot lotion. So I'm not sure which one she was referring to. So we just put foot care on the front of the website and we made extra foot lotion and extra foot butter just in case. When the episode aired, Carol's Daughter's website went down. Lisa knew that she was going to get a ton of traffic that day, and she tried to make the hosting provider aware of this. But they didn't increase the server bandwidth like they said they would. The site went from 4 people shopping to 17,000 people shopping in just 4 minutes. But since the server didn't have enough bandwidth, it eventually just crashed out. So sales definitely shot up, but not by like millions of dollars or anything. However, People magazine ended up featuring Lisa based on her appearance on the Oprah show. And that article came out in November, and the Oprah episode re-aired in October. So that led to a huge increase in Carol's daughter's fourth quarter revenue in that year. According to Lisa, we did get a lot of orders initially being on the show, but it wasn't anything we couldn't handle within our warehouse. But what it did mostly for me as a person was allowed me to fulfill a dream, which then forced me to dream bigger. So maybe being on Oprah didn't make her a millionaire, but being on Oprah made her a millionaire, if you know what I'm saying. It's like they say, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And when you can impress an influencer that's as big as Oprah, at least enough to get them to introduce your product to their audiences, then the opportunities are truly endless. But beware, because fast growth can lead to problems that you're just not ready to handle. Like Mr. Beast Burgers, for instance, which earned $50 million a year in its first 2 years, but is now defunct with Mr. Beast facing a $100 million lawsuit. And if you haven't heard about that one, man, that shit is wild. And you can learn all about it in this video right here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care and keep doing amazing shit.